Hey there, welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 933. That is Nuevo Tres Tres, I think so in Espanol, but whatever it is, I'm happy for you to join me once again on this illustrious, world-renowned, extremely impressive, undeniably great podcast known as the Agostino Zinga Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I've got a lot on my plate, I've got a lot on my mind, I've got a lot to share with you. So I'm not going to waste any time, I'm just going to dive right into it. First thing I've been thinking about, as you guys can see, I'm quite unkept, I've been quite unkept lately. I haven't been really taking care of my personal grooming. I'm kind of going for this like boho, Lower East Side, creative artist type of look with this fuzzy hair and shit and the beard growing out. But in actuality, what I'm really doing is I'm aiming to like grow out my side some more. I want to grow out my side some more so that when I get my hair braided, I can braid the entirety of my head and not just the top of my head. Because obviously I've got a lot of hair on the top, but I want to do that whole shebang, right? And to be honest as well, despite me having, a decent amount of disposable income, I'm not Aiden Ross out here, but I'm doing okay. I still get very lazy to get a haircut. It's not even a matter of means. It's just pure laziness. Because nowadays, I've got two places where I go cut my hair. I've got one place I go cut my hair that's really far. It's like an hour away. It's basically in Ealing Broadway. It's a really great place. Big up F for Fade. The guy that cuts there, he cuts loads of famous people and shit. But just generally, the standard of all the barbers there is really high. It's probably the closest way you're gonna get in the UK to like an American standard. With like the HD fades that look like they've been fucking done on Photoshop. Sometimes if you want them to do they could do the extra spray and give you that hard fucking line on the front of your head. I don't need that because my hairline's, it's A1. I don't really have any issues with my hairline. But if you want a really straight fade, because I think sometimes my hairline is it can be a bit of a tilt. They can give you that straight fucking 90-degree angle hairline if you want, but the fades are just immaculate. Now it's in Ealing Broadway. When I used to go there in the past, I used to really enjoy going there and reading my books and stuff and doing my thing. But nowadays, because I don't read books as often, which is a really sad part of the whole story, because I don't read as often as I did in the past, before I used to read like 4 books a month, now I struggle to get through one book. Fucking thank you, Steve Jobs. Thank you for creating the iPhone. Thank you for the fucking social media apps, because they've completely deteriorated my ability to concentrate on a book for more than 20 minutes. I hold a book in my hand for more than 20 minutes now. It's a fucking miracle. But in the past, a few years ago, 4 books a month, I'd bang those shit out. And I'd like to go to Ealing Broadway and get my haircut. Now I can't do it, so it makes the trip to Ealing Broadway a bit boring. Whatever it may be. But now I found a new place that's not too far from where I live that cuts hair to a similar standard as Ealing Broadway person. But I've noticed, even though I found this new place that's close to where I live, I'm still not getting my trims often enough. And I should be getting trims, really. As a man like myself, who sweats a lot, who's also very hairy in terms of my face. I'm not really hairy anywhere else on my body, to be completely honest. Like I don't really have overly hairy legs. My chest isn't overly hairy. I don't have hair on my back or my arms that much. But for some reason, I grow a lot of hair on my face. I'm a very there's a lot of face hair going on here. So with this face hair going on and my inability to kind of like grow hair slowly, I should probably get my trim. If I'm being honest, I should probably be getting a trim, like a proper skin fade, twice a month. Minimum twice a month. At the beginning of the month, and then in the middle, and then maybe if I want to top up at the end when there's a rave or something, I get it. But I should be getting it minimum 2. I barely get a haircut every 4 months. Barely. Hardly, as you can tell. So although I'm saying to myself, oh, I want to grow the size of my head so I can, get braids and stuff all over my head, I just don't bother going because I'm just lazy. In general, that's what it comes down to. And I've noticed as I've gotten older that I used to fight against this laziness label. I still don't think I'm lazy. I think I do quite a lot. I think I kind of get a lot out of the day. I'm always kind of putting my foot to the pedal. But what I've realized is that I'm selectively lazy. The things that I don't think are priority, I just let it go. And the things that are a priority, I double down. But I'm like psycho about the things that I'm doing, that I want to do. But the things I don't want to do, the things I'm not that enthusiastic about, I kind of leave by the wayside. Which is still a form of laziness, but I guess I would interpret it as selective laziness. Why do I bring all this fucking preamble up, you may ask? I saw this post on Twitter where they made the Twitter account My Mixtape said the following: barbering is the fastest growing occupation of all trades in the US over the last 10 years. I repeat, barbering is the fastest growing trade in the US over the last 10 years, or will be over the next 10 years. But I guess, previous 10 years. Could you imagine how crazy that is? And I was thinking to myself, you know what, right? I admire people. And I know a couple of people, not a lot of them because it's hard to do, but I do really admire people who are able to cut their hair really well themselves. People who are able to take, you remember that mirror that everyone was, we all had that moment. I'm sure every man in the world had that moment where you saw that advert for that mirror that's got like 3 sides and you thought to yourself, yeah, with that self-barbering system, I'm going to be giving myself fucking skin paints every day. Every week I'm going to be looking fresh. No hoes are going to say no to me, right? That's what everyone thought. And then the moment you got your own fucking Tazs, right? Big up the Tazs fucking users. The moment you got your own fucking Tazs and you took that to your head, like, first of all, you have to get through, you have to get past the fucking fear of fucking up your head, or the fear of, like, cutting your fucking skull open. Because that's something too. People don't talk about that too often, right? The fear of just holding a fucking Tazs to your head and trying to cut your hair is long. Then once you get past that, you quickly realize it's a lot harder than what it looks like. And although your barber shop or your barbers that you go to, you kind of take for granted and you talk behind his back and you cheat on him often and you say he's shit and stuff, really and truly, they still do you a solid because cutting hair is hard. It's not that easy. You think all you can do is just like make that line, take away some of the stuff at the bottom and then just fade. It's a lot more nuanced than that, especially if you like, good haircuts. So, I would also have dreams. Apart from that, I also had some slight dreams of maybe one day becoming a barber. Because especially my propensity to yap, my propensity to yap, I think I would make for a really good barber. I think I would really make for, especially because I like, I'm a fan of like other people's haircuts. I notice when people get haircuts. I follow some haircutting pages on Instagram. I know of some quote unquote famous barbers on Instagram too that I'm kind of tapped in with and shit. I'm aware of the scene, right? And the workshops and the drama and all this stuff that goes on there. I think I'd make for a sick barber. But do I have the patience to learn? Number one, probably not. And also, I think when it comes to barbering, you'd have to, I guess, have guinea pigs, right? You'd have to kind of learn on the job. But then if you learn on the job and you fuck someone's hair up, your name is bunk. You learn on the job, you fuck someone's hair up, your name is bunk. You fuck up at one level. Like, forget a taper fade, forget a skin fade, you fuck up a basic fucking one level, your name is bunk, bunk, bunk. So that's why I'm a little bit, apprehensive about it. But it'd be a good little trade. It's all cash in hand. You don't even need to have your own fucking barber shop. You can just rent a chair. You get me? But you can just cutting people up, chefing them up. And if you want to, you can be a little bit cheeky, like a lot of barbers in my area, where if they're barbering or if they're kind of trimming up people who, let's say, dabble in the occupation that doesn't require a fucking payslip, right? If you're cutting those type of people's hair, usually they kind of charge them a bit more. Or that person pays them more to kind of show off, to kind of flex, on all the young G's that are in there, right? And be like, yeah, here's 200 in it, get yourself up, keep the change, you get me? So you could be on that mad one where some days you leave with like £10, another day you leave with like 500. But I was thinking nowadays, barbering must be so popular because there doesn't exist anymore. I don't think so anyway. Depends where you live in the world. Listen to me right now. But I don't think there exists barbershops that you can go to for £10. Doesn't exist. Even in the area that I live in, that isn't the most, I'd say, well known for their great barbers. They still, at the minimum you're going to be paying in most places is probably going to be £30 minimum. Now there are some places you can find for 20, but they ghetto as fuck and they're not that great. But I think the basic place you're going to go to is going to probably be £30. Back in the day, I remember paying £5 if you're a kid, £10 if you're an adult. Now the minimum price is like 30. Some places are 50. The one I go to in fucking Ealing Broadway, that guy, when it's like a busy time in the year, New Year's, before Carnival, they usually charge you like £50 minimum. And to be fair, because I want to feel like a baller, and because I'm a little bit of a people pleaser as well, I do tend to tip my barbers. I'm a bit of a weirdo. So if I go to a barber and they charge me 30, I'm going to give him 40. Or if I'm feeling good that day, I might give him 50, I'm that type of idiot. But in general, it's very rare that you're gonna find a place where you're gonna cut hair for £10. So even if you're not cutting that many people's hair, you can make a decent living being a barber, you know? A decent fucking living. Even if you're not cutting that many people's hair, you can make a decent living being a barber. It's a really decent occupation. So for those of you out there that are exploring it, congratulations. Those of you out there who are cutting your own hair, I'm jealous of you because I cannot do it for love nor money. I remember the first time I bought a fucking razor because I wanted to trim up my lines, like a razor. And I tried to cut my hair with a razor and my hand was fucking shaking. You know, everything in my body was telling me not to do it because I might just slice my fucking nose up or something. So it's really difficult to get past that sort of shit. And also to be ambidextrous as well, to be able to do one side with right, one side with left. Because I think that's what I've seen online. People are really good where they can trim their hair using like either hand, you know? So you take the razor with one hand, trim the right, trim the left. Like, that must be fucking amazing. But personally, I can't do it. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a freaking shame. Talking about it's a shame. Big up Fredo. Fredo has finally decided to try and put a line or draw a line under the whole drama that's been happening. If you've ever been paying attention, it's a little bit complicated to explain, but basically some person or a conglomerate of people decided to kind of, you know, launch a Instagram page exposing Fredo, the well-known UK rapper, for loads of indiscretions, from like flying out girls and abandoning them, allegedly buying girls fake Birkins, scumming some of his guys, cheating on his girlfriend, allegedly being a pedo, talking badly about other artists. They just expose bare stuff that he does behind the scenes. To be fair, the really interesting thing about the exposure is that somebody that exposed him in that page, I don't know who owns the page, but somebody that was posting clips and shit, somebody posted a clip of Fredo that he must have sent to a girl to prove where he was. He's wearing a face mask, and there was a time where he got arrested in Dubai. And I don't know about you, but I was surprised to see the condition of the condition of the hospitals, the condition of the prisons in Dubai. Not gonna lie, I don't know why I expected, but I didn't expect that. That prison looked like the prison that probably Vitaly's staying in the Philippines. You know, I think it was a picture of a clip of Fredo with a face mask on, sitting on the top bunk, and he pans across and he flips the camera, and you can see, you know, he's literally in a prison cell, and it looks like it's, I don't know, it looks like the cell is leaking. There's like green gates and shit. It looked horrible. Like, it looked really, really bad condition. And I don't know why I expected the hospital, I keep saying hospitals. I don't know why I expected the prison in Dubai to be better condition. But I didn't expect it to be that. Anyway, he got exposed to a bunch of stuff. People started going after him. And someone like Fredo is very relaxed, very chilled guy, from what I kind of understand him to be. And you could tell it kind of rattled him. I'm not going to lie. You could tell it kind of rattled him, especially the UK, because I don't think it's different in the US. I feel like a lot of UK artists have a very like hands off, sort of like, I know you're there, but I'm not going to pay you attention, sort of like relationship when it comes to media, when it comes to influencers, when it comes to podcast platforms. They don't really fuck with them in that way. Whereas I think in the US, you guys have a lot more of a symbiotic relationship with that sort of stuff, right? Like, you know, rappers jump on streams, rappers jump on fucking podcasts and have interviews and shit. In the UK, it's not such a thing. People like to maintain their mystique or their kind of aura and shit, which is understandable. So you can only, so I'd imagine for someone like a Fredo who keeps himself to himself, you know, might be involved in some other shit, for him to suddenly be on pods, you know, leaving voice notes, going back and forth with content creators was a madness. Then as a subplot, there's a weird thing going on between Fredo and Bouncer. There was this, I don't know, weird thing going on with him and Billy the Goat. When he went on there, he was ranting all over the shop. I don't know what's true, what isn't true. If anything, it's probably made some people that liked him, that probably viewed him a certain way. It's probably made them look at him a bit sideways, yeah, because sometimes you can't unsee things, unfortunately. I think it's a bit unfair, to be honest. You know, getting exposed for saying stuff that you say in private to people. Even if you're talking bad about your friends. I don't know, you're talking privately amongst friends, amongst somebody or somebody you thought was your confidant. To kind of, you know, spill that sort of shit is a bit lame. It's almost like posting screenshots of the group chat you got with your lads and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's done a bit poor taste because you're going to be a bit more free and loose in there. But you're not necessarily say the stuff that you want to say to that person in real life. But then that doesn't mean you're being snaky. You get me? So whatever. Long story less long. It looks like he's finally drawn a line underneath it by releasing this video off the back of the music video he dropped and the tune he dropped the other day. I guess he's trying to draw a line underneath it completely. So this is Fredo, courtesy of the music connoisseur. Big up TMC. Trying his best to move past all the drama. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm back. The truth will always reveal itself. To be real, I don't really have an explanation for that kind of crazy level. Whatever it is I've been going through for the last 4 years with this person. But yeah, you lot should have known that was some nonsense from there talking about Santan Dave's lucky I let him on my project. Like, come on, be for real. And all the rest. To be real, I don't even want to dwell on it too much. It is what it is. You can see what it is. Anyone who wants to really look into it, you'll see what it is. Straight psycho. Moving forward, it's still nothing but love. It's like I've been away and the love ain't even gone nowhere. The song's doing well, #1 on YouTube and whatever. I got a lot of announcements coming. Strictly music. I know it's a lot of nonsense on the internet, this, that, my name and a lot that really I'm not even involved with, but I guess it comes with that. But yeah, like I said, just stay in tune. Shout out Dave every time, and anyone else who might have got their name mixed up in all that rubbish, but moving forward, it's strictly music.
So yeah, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. It must have been a lot to kind of go through, but you know, he didn't really address anything. He didn't really clarify anything, which you can't really do, I guess, clarify every single allegation coming out from that page. But the most concerning thing will probably be that pedo shit. I'm not going to lie. There was a few screenshots that I saw of him talking to some girls. And, you know, the standard thing that happens with people that get caught doing pedo shit. The girl makes it known that she's underage. And he basically kind of dodges the question or dodges the answer. Talks about some other stuff, you know. Kind of doesn't really acknowledge it or care. And I think another one, another girl, I think he tried to talk to, and he found out the age. He pretended he wasn't interested. Then he got his boy to get the fucking details and da 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 da. That's the one that's a little bit mad. That's the one that's a little bit mad because, you know, Dashavelli, bless him, he got cancelled for less. You know, looking back, I'm not really too sure if that guy was a legit pedo or if that family of that girl were running some weird game, whatever that was going on there. So if Dachiavelli gets cancelled for that sort of thing, you could imagine, you know, looking at Fredo and those sort of screenshots, it's a bit mad. But what I do like with his approach is that he's doing that Steve Jobs thing. Steve Jobs was like known for creating a reality distortion field where he'd like propose to the designers and the app developers or whatever working at fucking Apple, hey, I want my screen, I want this phone to be this a certain fucking millimeter fucking depth. And they'll be like, oh my God, we can't do it. We don't have the chip. He's like, I want it by fucking Tuesday. And maybe they wouldn't do it by Tuesday, but they would develop some new process that maybe find a breakthrough in another way that would eventually get them to that stage. But if he gives them these unachieved, these what you appear to be like unachievable deadlines, right? It kind of pushes you to do more. So, but he's also creating this reality distortion field because he's acting as if that's normal and that's okay. No, you can do it when really it's not possible. But he's trying to push as much as possible. But I think nowadays in social media, I think it actually works when you're a notable person and you're going through a drama. If you just pretend like it's not happening, if you pretend like it's not a big deal, if you act like it's over, it can kind of be over. Especially if you're an artist, just drop music. He's already proved it with that music video. It's probably going to hit 1 million views if it hasn't already. If he just keeps dropping music, especially with this court case, you'd imagine that may be lingering in the background because, you know, some people from a gang that he's associated with have already got some unfortunate high sentences. It feels like to me, he's moving the right direction. Just keep on keeping on. Even though the allegations and all the things about you are kind of crazy, just don't pay attention to it. Just don't pay attention to it and hope that the more you keep dropping music, the more you keep your eye on the prize, the more you keep ignoring the noise, it'll be okay. Because what can he do? What's the other solution? Going back and forth with content creators, going back and forth on social media. He's never going to win that war, you know? Those guys are not in it for the same thing he's in it for. He wants to clear his name. He wants to make people know that he's not a nonce or a PDF. But they don't really care about that, right? They're just going to, you know, get you twisted up, make you kind of... make you crash out, make you go crazy, then use that crazy thing as another topic to talk about in another video, and then thus continues the fucking cycle. So this is probably the best way to go about it. Just draw a line under the sand. Don't address anything because you know, he can't really explain it. I don't think those screenshots, they are what they are. I really don't think you can explain it. I'm not gonna lie, you really, really can't. So yeah, here we are. You know, here we fucking are. Big up fucking Fredo. Big up fucking Fredo. Moving on from Fredo. I saw this clip, right? Featuring Speedy Mormon interviewing somebody from Love Island called Ace. Now, don't get it confused. I don't watch Love Island. You know, I'm a real man. I do real man things, but I don't watch Love Island. But I know a lot of people like to watch this sort of stuff. But one thing that I've been interested in observing people that watch this sort of stuff is the parasocial relationships they're having with the people on these shows, and also the attraction that a lot of women feel for the guys on the shows, right? It feels like the men, the women, they kind of come out of it, and all the girls are, oh my God, this guy is this, oh, I love him, I love him, I love him, right? Ideal man, ideal man. And I was looking at this clip, I was thinking to myself, like, it's interesting, isn't it, how people behave? Because on social media, sometimes you hear people talking about what their ideal man is or what their ideal fella is, whatever. And most of the time, you'll hear women say a line like, don't be involved in girl business, right? Or women's business. That'll be usually a red flag. Or a guy that argues back, a guy that's like sassy, a guy that's this, right? Which makes sense, right? If you're a woman, you wouldn't really want to, I don't know, it would be a bit weird if you were like chasing after a guy who like didn't mind giving you verbals, right? Who liked to get into fucking, arguments with you every single day, who never knew when to shut up, and never knew when to let you quote unquote win an argument, who was just as tapped into reality TV shows as you were. Love to, like, I mean, it was a bit strange. So when I saw this clip, I was confused because I was thinking to myself, isn't this the same guy that girls say they don't like, but all the girls like him? So what's going on? Are girls full of shit? Is this person, or is this personality just or are his looks just too good or too high a level that it kind of negates however he may act? And the caption says, Ace asked about the Olandria, I guess, which is a couple, containing of a black girl and a white guy, if I'm not mistaken, being real, and this was his response. So there's a black girl and a white guy on Love Island, if I'm not mistaken. They fell in love on the island. They end up getting together off the island. People are interested in that dynamic of it being a multicultural, multiracial, whatever that fucking word is, right? For the fucking relationship. But some people are suggesting that it might not be a real relationship. So they asked this guy that was on the show, hey, what do you think? And this is his response. And I think they asked him because he's also a friend of that girl who's involved in that relationship. So this was his response to the question, right? And just look at it. Think of yourself, is this how a real man would act?
And Nic's relationship is real. Is this you thinking, or is this your answer? I'm going to assume that that's your answer. Mm-hmm. Is that tough for you because Olandria is someone that you consider to be a close friend?
Yeah, it really is tough for me because, again, she just came out here for Shelly's birthday, and we all spent a time together at the club, and we all kicking and shit like that. So I have a lot of respect for Olandria. But, again, from the last conversation that I've had with, Nic, it was a matter of it's not a romantic spark. They just, you know what I'm saying? They find each other attractive.
Nic and Olandria's relationship, you've expressed in silence, you've expressed your opinions on that. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the other relationships that have come from Love Island are real?
Yeah, Taylor and Clark, I know that's for sure real.
And the other ones, not so much, or?
So, I don't know, like, he seems to be really enjoying being in women's business. Now, don't get me wrong. He's also friends with a woman. So I understand that he's like, by default involved in it. But he seems to be taking a lot of pleasure in exposing the fact that maybe that relationship on that reality TV show wasn't real. So it just got me confused. It got me thinking like what's going on actually? Because I feel like in the real world, I've met a ton of guys that are like this. And they usually don't struggle for girls. So girls like to talk a lot about men. Oh, I don't want a man that's in women's business. I don't want a guy that's too sassy. I don't want this. I don't want that. But in real life, these guys put up numbers. Yes, I'm sure it helps that he's not bad to look at. But these guys put up fucking numbers. So if you're a woman and you don't want this sort of thing, I don't know why people are encouraging it. Because on social, they're killing him, right? Don't get me wrong. On social media, they're killing this guy. Because I guess they're mostly killing him, what I feel like, because they want the storyline to be true. They want Nic Olandria, that relationship, to be real. Because some people are parasocial and they kind of see themselves through the relationship or whatever. Or they just like the person. It doesn't mean parasocial. Let me not keep using that term because it's fucking stupid. But they are now attacking this kid for quote unquote saying the truth. You know? And they're not happy about it. And they're complaining about it. But again, in real life, I feel like I've never not met a guy like this that's single. Or that doesn't have a bevy of fucking girls that kind of juggling at one time. You know? So, I don't know. It's interesting, man. It's an interesting place to be. Personally, I wouldn't really be into this sort of stuff. It's one of the reasons why, you know, I think I'm a little bit of a conundrum in that respect, because there are certain things I'm into that I would assume people on the outside, if they look to me, they think I'm gay. Especially the fashion I'm into, the kind of art that I'm into, the music that I'm into, the clubs that I'm into, the holiday destinations that I'm into, right? The movies that I watch. A lot of people will probably think I, you know, on that kind of thing. But then when it comes to this sort of like gossipy, chatty patty, girl business stuff, I just not have no interest. Zero. You know, this type of stuff makes me, like, it makes me want to vomit. Like, you know what I mean? A man like sitting around like gossiping and, you know, like doing this whole like this weird smile about my, like, if anything as well, forget all the like sassy shit. If that's your friend, even if that relationship is fake, let her bust a move in it. Let her run a little game. I'm sure they both know it's not real, but they're both just making the best out of it. Why not? You know, I'm sure those shows don't pay that much. You've got a very small window when you, after you finish the show, to take advantage of what happens on the show. So if they kind of bust in a little move, you know, pretending their relationship, let them rock. Why are you exposing the thing? Why are you pulling back the curtain? You're involved in it. Like, it's different if someone like me, it's different if someone that makes content online says, oh my God, I have an expose. Nic Olandria is not real, blah, blah, blah. That's different. But when you're the friend, it's a bit weird, isn't it? When you're the friend and you're in the inner circle, you then basically, without saying, you basically confirm the relationship isn't real, you know, to the shock of many people. Because I don't think on my side of social media at least, there weren't a lot of people that were saying that relationship wasn't real. So it's a bit strange. I just find it all strange. I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe I'm just over-analyzing these sort of things, but I found that very, very, very odd. Then on top of that, the other thing that was very odd, that's obviously the relationship. That's her. Nic, that's Nic, that's your Olandria girl, and that's the guy that's friends with her, whatever. There was a part of me that's thinking to myself, I wonder if he's just dirty macking. You know? There was a part of me that was like, I wonder if he's just dirty macking. Which I'd never encourage, but there are some guys that enjoy that type of game. And dirty macking is basically when you as a guy, instead of like competing with the other man for that woman's love on like a proper like, no, come, you know, talking about your strengths and whatnot, you kind of tell the girl, hey, your guy is not really that kind of dude. You know what I mean? So I wonder if that's maybe what he's doing. He's doing that kind of long play that some guys do, where you play the friend role, but secretly you like her and you're never happy whenever she's with somebody else. That could be part of it. Who knows? Who fucking knows? But one of the other things that was really odd about it was the response that Speedy had. So Speedy was a guy that's hosting a show, and he basically saw the comments and replies for a lot of people saying that, you know, he was wrong for asking that question and whatever it may be, and they weren't really happy. And his response was also kind of strange too. And again, like, you know, maybe it's just a generation of men that are growing up now. It's just like, he looks like he's kind of enjoying the attention. It looks like he's marveling in the kind of in the controversy. He loves that he's in the heart of it. It's a strange thing, but this is his response to everybody kind of criticizing him for asking that question anyway in the first place.
Was real. And while you are absolutely entitled to have your opinion on that, I do want to say that some people may have more information than you have. They may know things that you don't know. They may be aware of things that transpired that you don't know. They may have seen and witnessed things that you have not seen. That's it. That's all I want to say. So, you may see somebody say, or you may see somebody have an opinion on a relationship. I would just say maybe, just maybe, they know something that you don't. Because if what I was told off camera is true,
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Strange generation of men. It always kind of breaks my heart sometimes when you go out and you go to certain places and you're hanging around, you know, maybe you're out somewhere with a group of friends, work friends, friends of friends, and you meet, you know, the boyfriends and husbands of other friends that you know and shit. And then, you know, the lads kind of gather around in a circle. You might go out somewhere, you might go grab a cigarette, grab a drink, whatever you're doing. You kind of, you know, you separate away from the women and shit, start talking. It always breaks my heart when it comes around to conversation topics and you mention football and the majority of the guys are like, nah, I don't really watch it. Don't really follow it, mate. Don't really watch it. Don't really follow it. And it's like, huh? Like, you know? And I feel like I've noticed that way too often in recent years. Like more and more guys who have no interest, no desire, no fucking whatever when it comes to sports. But are they talking about stuff like this in their social groups? So if you're not into sports, what are you into then? Please tell me. Are you literally talking to your male friends about Love Island and drama surrounding that fucking universe? Like for real. Like that's heartbreaking, man. Like legit heartbreaking. I get that we're all not going to be into sports. I understand it. Football is maybe an acquired taste. But to be around a group of lads and not be able to have those conversations, but then they're able to break down in minute detail the relationship dynamic between this person, that person, and they saw that tweet and this thing. It's like, God damn it, man. Like, insert that clip about fucking Jordan Peterson crying about men in here. Do you know what I mean? I get why he was crying now about modern men, because fucking hell. All right, you're not into football, but I don't know, be into something else a bit more manly. You know, please, for the love of God, I don't want you gossiping and yapping about some girl that you're never going to meet on social media who was a part of a show. Like, a dating show, huh? Like, honestly, guys' brains are fucking cooked out here, man. But, hey, whatever works for you, works for you. Whatever works for you, works for you. Talking about things at work. Big up Lil Nas X. This happened a few days ago now, but I forgot to report on it because I haven't been on here as often as I'd like, but I'm back in the hot seat doing what I love. But big up Lil Nas X for not only working it, but working it, right? Working it with a fucking U. Because he was cool, unfortunately, gallivanting around somewhere in fucking LA. I'm guessing downtown LA, whatever he was, in his tighty whities and a nice pair of fucking cowboy boots, looking a little bit, shall we say, high.
Nah. Hey,
What
don't
up?
be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at. Nah, go ahead, babe. Nah. Go ahead, babe. Nah. Didn't I tell you to put the phone down? Uh-oh, somebody's gonna have to pay for that. Da. Hey, for everybody coming to the party. La. Yes, I am serving you. I am serving you. And you better be at that party tonight. Oh, yes.
Work. That's a good walk, though. Good walk, I'm not going to lie. Good walk.
Yes, get my good side.
Tight whities are very, very white, too, because, you know, I'm not sure about you guys, but, you know, white underwears are fucking warning. But the whiteys look fucking clean. The boots look like they're sitting. The fucking stomach is flat. The chest is popping. Hey. If you're going to get caught fucking high out of your fucking mind, walking down the street, the least you can do is make sure that everything is where it's meant to be.
Every side. Yes. Boom, cat, towel. Pow. Sean Bankhead taught me that one.
Big up Sean Bankhead, right? Legendary choreographer. Big up Sean Bankhead.
Hey! Woo! Backsy boy, why don't you give it to It's gonna be a beautiful sunrise.
What do you think he's like? I wonder what he took, innit? That's the first thing that comes to our mind. Is like, what the fuck did he take that would make him trip out this badly? Because he was going through it, bro. He was going, like, he walked I don't know, judging by the background, he walked a fair distance. Like he was, and he probably walked before that anyway. So he probably left where, I don't think he was in a car. Maybe he wasn't, hopefully he wasn't. He probably left someone's house and just walked, you know? Just was walking down the street at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning and shit. Just going fucking crazy. I love it.
Give me that phone so I can throw it. I want to throw it far away so you never see it again. I don't like phones. Don't miss the party tonight. Why are you still here? You need to be telling everybody about the party, girl. What's your problem? Break it down, break it down, break it down.
And yeah, that happened a few days ago on the 21st. And as you can see, he was probably a little bit worse for wear. The sad thing is, right, there's going to be people out there now, most likely, who probably already, since this, you know, few days since this happened, there's probably going to be people out there selling stuff based on this, you know, crash out, based on this session. There's probably going to be people selling fucking MDMA, fucking coke, fucking crack, fucking heroin with his face on it, like saying, yeah, this is the shit that made Lil Nas X walk down, you know, Rodeo Drive or wherever the fuck this is in his tighty whities. And people are now going to be looking for this sort of stuff, you know? There's going to be people out there seeking high and low for whatever drug he was taking that made him do this. Because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Maybe an LSD trip, maybe an acid trip, maybe mushrooms, maybe, I don't know. But he doesn't look like he wants to redose anytime soon. He looked like he took the perfect dosage or whatever he took, because he doesn't look like he's ratty or anything. If anything, in other videos I'm going to show you, he looks way higher than he looks here. He doesn't even look that high here. He's obviously moving like a bit of a crackhead, because who does this, right? Who walks around, who walks in the middle of the street, in the middle of the road, sorry, not in the street, in the middle of the road, in their bright white boots and tighty whities and nothing else. You obviously got to be a little bit, you know, you obviously have taken something, but it's just the sparseness and the loneliness of the situation that's kind of sobering. I'm not gonna lie. It's almost like, because even the person that's behind the camera isn't really talking that much. It's mostly Lil Nas X talking to himself out loud. There doesn't even seem to be somebody. I don't see another car driving by in the opposite lane. There's no neighbor shouting out from the windows. You don't hear a police siren. You don't hear anything. Zero, an alarm, dogs barking. It's just him alone, you know? And it kind of is sad, because in this situation, at a moment where he was at his most vulnerable, there was no one around to help him. But I assume when he was at the height of his fame, most likely, when he was at the height of his fame, he could not move an inch without somebody being next to him, without somebody wanting to stand by him, without somebody being in his fucking company and presence. But in the moment when he needed people the most, he was all by himself. All by himself. Even the person that's behind the fucking camera isn't really there. They just document. They don't really treat you like a human being. They just treat you like a fucking, you know, what you are. Because I'm assuming that person got that video and immediately sent it to fucking TMZ and to sell. So that's a really, really sad part of celebrity, I guess, because there was a stage in his career where he was, you know, well regarded and loved and shit. But it's kind of been a bit quiet for Lil Nas X. And I think mostly, and the weird thing about him as well, is that although his music doesn't always hit for me, I think he is talented, oddly enough. Even though he came in on a meme thing, he didn't come in as a serious artist or anything, I still think he's quite talented, but he doesn't really take himself too seriously. Maybe he's doing that self-deprecating thing where you purposely don't take yourself seriously so that people don't take you seriously, so that you don't have to then meet a certain standard, you know? So everything is a kind of a bit of a play. Everything's a bit of a fucking, you know, joke thing. I think that might be the case with him. But in general, he's been a bit quiet. He's not really been around. And then the first moment you see him, he's walking down the street starkers and he's fucking tight whities. It's a bit of a madness. It's a bit of a madness. The development of that after the fact was this. Another clip somebody showed of him hanging around with a random person on the street. And again, no help, which is, you know, kind of sad to see. But this is the clip itself.
Can you do this dance with me?
No, let's take this picture.
All right. Where's the party?
Where's the party at?
So maybe there's the people in the car, I don't know. But yeah, it's just sad, isn't it? No one's trying to help. I don't know if those people called the ambulance. I don't know if they called the police or anything, whoever you're meant to call. But it looked like they were more concerned about getting a picture and shit and fucking around and fucking with him. You know, trolling or whatever it may be. But no one really cared to, you know, look after him, which is kind of sad. But hey, I guess it is what it is. And then here's another clip of Lil Nas X actually in, in court, listening to the charges, because it seemed like, I think once he got arrested or once the police were called, he obviously freaked out. I think actually there's actually clips, which I'm not going to play, but there's actually pictures and clips of him removing his underwear. So he was completely naked onto the street actually. That's the other part. I think he picked up a traffic cone and put it on his head, and I think he's also removed his panties. So by the time the police got there, he was completely naked, sans the boots, with the exception of the boots, sorry. And when the police got there and tried to arrest him, he freaked out, charged at one of the officers, which is obviously not a good idea, and that got him to more trouble. So, you know, it's kind of looking a bit mad for him, I'm not gonna lie. But let's play the clip of him in court.
4 days of today, 60 calendar days. Do you understand and give up that right so your case could be set for 3 years?
The judge set the bail, so they set his bail at $75,000 and said the singer must attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings. That goes without saying. Van Nuys West Court. This is a clip of the outside of Van Nuys West courthouse. This is Lil Nas X's dad actually, of all, which is funny because he kind of does look like him. But yeah, Lil Nas X's dad.
Very remorseful for what happened, you know, but it can happen in any family. You know, he's going to get the help that he needs, and just keep him in your prayers, you know. Give him the same grace and mercy that God give everyone.
Don't
keep him in your prayers. That's your job, bro. Why should we keep? We don't know him. That's your family. You sort him out, innit? You keep him on the straight and narrow. These people are not, you know, not to kind of generalize, but I would imagine this is the type of family that probably, you know, is there for the handouts, there to request money, but doesn't really give a fuck about him. And doesn't really check in to see how he's doing actually, you know, mentally and shit, how he's doing in life. If he's recorded new music, but they're quick to ask for a couple of dollars, they're quick to ask for a couple of grand and shit. But now he's in his darkest moments. Oh, let's keep in your prayers, yeah, because you want that. You know what I mean? You don't want the fucking money to dry up anytime soon. But the prayers thing is not really our responsibility. That's yours as a family, I think.
Don't forget, he's 26 years old.
There's the attorney.
So it's not unusual for something like this to happen, particularly when you have the pressure of being recognized internationally like him. And so we're going to do our best to address these things. And the best way to do that is just get the team and surround him with a team of people. You can see how much his dad cares and his family.
So yeah, they're trying to get him sorted on the straight and narrow. Unfortunately, when it comes to sort of stuff, it's really going to be up to him to decide to get himself clean and whatnot, because, you know, going to that extent where you're walking down the street half naked, you know, you probably, you know, it's safe to say you might have a bit of an issue. So he's probably gonna have to figure that out sometime soon and get himself where he needs to be. But yeah, this kind of explains again why he went, because I do remember somebody saying, who said it? Somebody did say somewhere in an interview once that if there's a celebrity or somebody that you haven't heard of in a long time and you're wondering where they are, somebody always suggested that one of the 2 things that could happen is that they either fell off or something. No, I think one of the options basically was drugs. I remember somebody saying something along those kind of lines. I forgot who the quote was by, but like, oh yeah, if you're wondering where somebody has been and you haven't seen him in a while, an artist that you kind of followed hasn't dropped music in a long time, most likely that's what's happening. So that's what's also making me think, I wonder if the Doechii thing is the same reason, because Doechii randomly decided to cancel loads of European dates, including All Points East here in London, and never gave a response or a reply. Hasn't posted on social, I think, since then. And I wonder if Doechii's going through the same thing. Although Doechii's on a whole nother level to Lil Nas X, but she's been kind of, you know, there's been a lot of thrust, you know, to her. She's kind of gone from a zero to like a somebody in a very short space of time. And that's a lot of pressures to handle. And obviously she's already spoken about some of her drug issues in the past. But I wonder if that's one of the reasons why she might have cancelled out of the blue. because it did feel like it came out of the blue because she did a bunch of dates beforehand. That would make a lot of sense in that regard. And then there's another update here, courtesy of Lil Nas X himself, where this is after he got released from prison. He's back home, and he made a video on Instagram Live to kind of, you know, assure the fans that he was okay. In my opinion, I think this video was ill-advised. I don't think he has a team around him. I think maybe the money's dried up and he maybe can't afford it. But I think this video that Lil Nas X filmed right after he came back home from posting bail, I think this was the big misstep because, in my opinion, he still looks very, very high here. Like, he looks like he may have did a bump just before he fucking started this fucking camera. Let's play the clip.
Your girl is gonna be okay, y'all. Okay? She's gonna be alright. She's gonna be alright. Shit. That was fucking terrifying. That was terrifying. That was a terrifying last 4 days.
Shit. I can't put the
But your girl is gonna be alright.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He looks he looks still high to me there. I think that was a bad move. But again, that's one of the things that you have to, if you're a regular person, listen to this, you have to thank your lucky stars you're not a celebrity, because being a celebrity must be exhausting, man. Because he probably felt the need. He probably was under a lot of pressure to post this. Probably had a bunch of DMs, a bunch of comments, emails, phone calls, people saying what's up, you know, wanting to check in. And, you know, you just think, hey, let me kill two birds with one stone. Instead of replying to every single person, let me just put out an Instagram story so everyone knows I'm okay. But unfortunately, you know, he probably hasn't had enough time to cleanse his system of whatever he was on. And he still looks like he's in the, you know, he's in the fucking droves of that fucking high. Or maybe he's so high now, I don't know what's going on. But it was really ill-advised because he actually weirdly enough, looks worse in this clip than he did walking down the street half naked. Not gonna lie. He actually looks worse. He actually looks worse in this clip than he does in the one where he's walking down the street half naked. So I guess, you know, I guess it's sad to see. It's not surprising, I'm not gonna lie, because he was on the path to a crash out towards the end. In recent years anyway. In the recent months maybe. I feel like he's been doing a bunch of stunts and shit and whatever else it may be that have kind of been leading this position. So you never know, you know, with the attorney saying what he said about him being 26, I didn't know he was that young. So that might be a good thing because it's happened now, you know. That might be a good thing in terms of him changing his life around. But he also might be in a stage where he just doesn't know where to do, innit? And where to go. He might just be in a stage where he's thinking, hey, I don't really have much to achieve. I've achieved quite a lot in the short space of time that I've been around. You know, I don't know. Pressures of the record label, pressures of life, pressures of having to look after your entire family. Because people don't talk about that enough. When you're black, it's different when you make it. When you're white and you make it, you just make it by yourself. When you're black and you make it, you have responsibility to look after everybody, you know? So he might be looking after a bunch of people, paying people's mortgages and shit, putting people through college. But then you're all right to do it, right? He's probably okay to do that sort of stuff when he's popping. But then your music isn't popping anymore. And then you're not motivated, you're not inspired. So now the music that was helping you pay for everyone's stuff, you're not feeling inspired to do. But if you don't make the music, you can't pay people's stuff. So now you're literally working for your family in a way, you know? You're not even doing this for your love, as a passion, as a career. You're literally doing it to pay off people's mortgages and fucking private school tuitions. That must be a whole other fucking pressure. On top of that, just being an artist himself, right? Competing with other artists, trying to prove, you know, media people wrong, podcasters wrong, trying to create something that maybe will last long, fulfill your satisfy your fans, delight your fans. A lot on his plate. There's a lot on his plate. Not a lot on his plate. So it would make sense why he's, you know, in this place that he's in now, where he's walking down the street half naked, going fucking crazy and going fucking wild. There's actually another clip that people kind of didn't really speak about too much, which again I think is sad because it was an indication of just how much his star has fallen. But I remember when was it? It must have been a few months ago. I do remember the warning bells were there with Lil Nas X. I think it was a few months ago, and this clip went viral of him talking into a camera, and he looked absolutely smacked out of his mind. And I thought that would have been the one that would have alerted. That's the kind of video where if you have friends, they're gonna come to your house and basically have an intervention or kind of get you sorted. That was the one that would have been an issue. Not this one of him walking down the street. The one him walking down the street is obvious. okay, you know, he fucked up, da 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 da. But I think this one, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is the one. This is the one that would have really, really, if you're a real friend, been the reason why you would have called him. And I think what this has exposed, to me anyway, at least. Now, don't get me wrong, Lil Nas X has never been like, I don't think he's been that friendly with people. Maybe that's the reason why that kind of, you know, he's where he's at now. He's not, he doesn't really like he doesn't seem like he's like a cliquey person. But in general, the really sad thing about the situation is the utter loneliness of it all. You know, that's the thing that kind of got me. I was like, shit. He's walking down the street half naked, super high, fucked out of his brain, basically getting taken advantage of by the person behind the camera. No one's there to help. He then goes to jail. He's in that courtroom. None of his family are there except for his dad, lonely by himself, no industry friends. He gets out, or like that happens, right? I don't see public statements from no celebrity or no artist saying they got his back, praying for him or anything, nothing. He then posts his bail and no one's there. He posts a video, no one's retweeting it or giving him words of encouragement. Like, it just goes to show just how lonely it must be when you're an artist and you've kind of fallen out of favor and you're not currently the most popping person, because suddenly no one's got any use for you. No one's got any use for you. No one cares about you, and you're just kind of on your own. And all you really have at that point, which is weird enough, because you know they also cause you stress. But at that point, all you really have is your family, because the only person that was at that courtroom was his dad, you know, and probably some real family members. But all those people in his comments, in his DMs, who love him and say they love him and say this, I got your back. Where were they? But this is the clip. This was filmed. This was released a few months back, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And this was the one where if you were his real friend, you would have definitely gone to his house and said, hey, like, let's talk about this. Because when I saw this, I was like, Jesus, man, he's going through it, isn't it? He's clearly going through it. This is from a few months back. It's not recent. This is from a few months back. Lil Nas X in his beautiful apartment or house somewhere in LA, I'm assuming, talking to a camera. And yeah, he sounds kind of high.
Don't look at my furniture-less house. But I want to say, because I don't want you guys to feel like I'm being flaky and very all over the place, but I was for a long time, you know. These last few years were pretty difficult for me. They have been pretty difficult for me, and I'm just now like arriving to this place of feeling confidence in myself and what I'm doing, and I'm trying to make sure I put intention towards my music and my vision and the creativity of it all. And most of all, I really want to make sure I have fun this time around. I don't think I got to have as much fun during the Montero era because I was more overly focused on, I don't know, making sure the songs did well than making sure I was like having fun doing, you know, shit, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I didn't have any fun. I had some fucking fun, okay? But I want this time around to be even more fun, and I want to be like even more full of joy, and I want to be even more full of love, and I want to go out here in this fucking world, and I want to wave my fucking hands in the sky and move about freely. And that's what the fucking Dream Boy era is gonna be. Hotbox is coming next. Fairly soon. I'm not gonna give you guys a date. I'm gonna announce it when I announce the date, okay? But I need you guys to stick beside me. We are fucking coming. Monterey, we are fucking coming. I have the fucking songs. I have the fucking music. I have the fucking vision. You guys need to sit patiently. You've waited this far. We've waited this long. Let's fucking keep going. Let's make this shit fucking happen. Okay? I love you guys so much. I'm finna do my fucking shit.
Yeah, so that was a few months ago, and again, no friends came out. I don't remember anybody talking about this on social apart from regular civilians. None of his friends came out and said nothing. No one sounded an alarm. It didn't seem like anyone got around him and tried to, you know, usually people will post pictures about, oh, thank you for checking in on me. No one checked in on him or anything. So he was utterly, and again, maybe he isolated himself, you never know. But it did feel like he was kind of alone and sort of abandoned by his industry peers and whatnot. His team, I don't know where his team's at, where his assistants at, I don't know. It just seems to be him by himself with his money and his big fucking crib. you know, indulging himself in some vices that he probably shouldn't be indulging himself in. And he was already at this stage quite clearly off his fucking rocker and, you know, feeling the vibes, enjoying what he's doing. And yeah, man, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that, you know, sometimes you need a really crazy crash out moment to kind of get yourself back on the straight and narrow. Maybe after that crazy moment where he's walking down the street stark naked, he can now realize, you know, the error of his ways and fix up and look sharp. Maybe that's the case. You're hoping that's the case. You really are, because if not, you know, it's only going to end one way, and we don't want to go down that route. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets the help he needs and he figures it out. Hopefully, he figures it out. You can only hope. You can only hope. Talking about hope, all hope has left me. All hope has left my body and my soul when this news broke on social media earlier today about Kobbie Mainoo telling Man United he wants to leave the club. Yep. If it couldn't get any worse after Wednesday's result, where United lost on penalties against Grimsby Town, who are in League 2. United are in the Premier League, Grimsby Town are in League 2. That means 4 league positions away from us, or 4, you know, the 4th tier fucking English football. They beat us on penalties, and they deserve to beat us actually in normal time, to be fair to them. So congrats to fucking Grimsby Town. Big up them. Hope they go on to get as far as possible in the League Cup. But Kobbie Mainoo has been having a hard time this season. Ever since the season started, for whatever reason, Amarin hasn't really been using him. And now in this season, Amarin has kind of regarded him as a option or as a backup to Bruno Fernandes. Now the problem is, for whatever reason, Bruno Fernandes doesn't seem to be droppable. He seems to be the one player that always plays, no matter how bad his form is, which I think is a bad way to kind of run your squad. I think everybody's position, unless you're a Messi Ronaldo player, I think everyone's position should be up for grabs. You should be competing for your position based on form, based on training, but you shouldn't be just there because of what you've done in the past. That's the case. So unfortunately for Kobbie Mainoo, he doesn't play because Bruno always plays. And then he has to shoo him into other positions where he's not really suited, but he's more suited to that number 10, number 8 role. Long story less long, it seems like he's realized that and he wants to go on loan. Now, the encouraging thing with people like myself who are big fans of Kobbie Mainoo and don't want him to leave, he has only requested a loan from the club until the end of the season. And the reason why he's done that most likely is because of this development regarding the England squad that was announced earlier. Thomas Tuchel didn't pick Kobbie Mainoo. And he explained here in a press conference that sometimes the changes in your club are not your fault. He's just lacking minutes. I don't think he lacks anything else. He has the experience, he has the power, he has the quality, the talent to be on our list. He is on our list of players, but at the moment, in his position, 6, 8, 10, in the central midfield, we have other players who are in full rhythm and who play a key parts in their clubs. And this is the next step for him. So I think most likely Kobbie Mainoo and his associates and his team have had a chat with Thomas Tuchel, and because he loves playing for England, much as he loves playing for United, he was probably told, hey, you're not going to be picked for the England squad, and it's probably going to also hamper your chances of being picked for the World Cup, I think this year, whatever it is, right, Euros. And he wants to be involved. So I think him requesting a loan until the end of the season and not a permanent move is him basically saying, hey, I want to get minutes, I want to play, so I can make sure I'm on that plane when England fucking travel. So that's probably the main reason why he's wanting to put that in there. But I still think it's a bad reflection on Thomas Tuchel's management. I think it's a bad reflection on where we are as a club, that a player of Kobbie Mainoo's talent is even allowed, is even being put in this position where he has to kind of request a loan. I think he's good enough to play for us. We don't have enough midfielders who are better than him, that he's surplus to requirements, in my personal opinion. They should be finding a way to make him work at the club. He's also a part of the youth team setup. That's a big part of our club and our kind of identity, bringing through academy players. And it's just a sad time, to be honest, because you think back to that picture where I think it's Garnacho. There's that picture where Garnacho scores a goal. He sits on the Old Trafford fucking boardings around the pitch. He puts his arm around Rasmus Højlund, and then Kobbie Mainoo comes and sits beside him. And it's these 3 young kids who are ready to take on the world. 2 of the kids are academy graduates, and but they're all kind of like under 22, ready to take on the world and to create new memories for United. And now, fast forward to a year, 2 of those players, Garnacho has already agreed to deal with Chelsea, and it looks like Rasmus Højlund might be going on loan to Napoli with an option to buy. Things change in football so quickly, but I would still say, in my humble opinion, I don't think we've replaced or really significantly upgraded. Maybe Garnacho's only a player. I think Mbeumo's probably a better player than Garnacho. But I don't think we significantly replaced those players for them to leave, you know? So it's a kind of a strange place to be in right now at the moment, because you want Mainoo to win. You want Mainoo to kind of succeed at the club. But you're also in this position where you're thinking to yourself, like, do you want to be put in a position where the players have all the power? The players are dictating when they can play or not. Do you want to put the responsibility in Ruben Amorim's hands when he's been shown to have a little bit of favoritism? And it kind of makes me reflect back to my short-lived Sunday League career. And one of the things that was really annoying about playing Sunday League sometimes is that you could sometimes be unlucky, as I was, where you'd sometimes play for a team where the manager has his son playing. And it's even doubly unlucky, when it was for me, when the manager's son plays in the position that you play. You're not going to play, you know? That's the really unfortunate part of it, where the coach has his favourites. He also has his son playing in the team. You play in his son's position. He's never going to play you. It doesn't matter if his son, you know, puts in a fucking 0 out of 10. He's never going to play you. And that sort of favouritism doesn't really help the squad harmony, because part of football, I think the best part of it is the even playing field of it, right? Where every training session is an opportunity for you to put your name on a team sheet. You train during the week really hard in the hopes of impressing the manager so you can be picked for the weekend. But if you're playing for a club like United, where they have a player like Bruno who has this weird status where he's almost untouchable when he's not really that good anyway in the first place, in my personal opinion, it means that any player that plays behind him in that position will never play unless he fucking gets injured. And he's never injured. So I get why Kobbie wants to leave, because the manager is Portuguese, Bruno's Portuguese, he seems to be in love with him as a player anyway, so it's not going to make any sense for him to stay and wait for minutes when he's not going to get the minutes that he needs. You're just hoping, maybe, because of how poor Ruben Amorim has been, this might be the thing that kind of pushes the club to maybe sack the coach. Because as much as I've been a big fan of Ruben, I was excited for him to come into a club. Like, that win percentage of 34% is fucking diabolical. We're heading into the third game in the season coming up this weekend, and it looks like we won't have a single win in 3 games, probably. I think Burnley will beat us, in my personal opinion. I think Scott Parker's going to get those boys organised and they're going to fucking slap us. So we're in a weird position right now as a club, where players like fucking Kobbie are somehow surplus to requirements when they obviously shouldn't be. But I guess it is what it is. I guess it is what it fucking is. Moving on, as the last one to talk about, I want to quickly mention this. This is a really cool interview, and I recommend you check it out, live stream. It's on, what's the guy's name? It's on Auspizza's stream. So big up Auspizza. I think it's Auspizza730. He streams now on Twitch. And he sat down with Mike Derulo and Luka Sabbat, and they spoke about the old times. They spoke about their origin story when it comes to streetwear, when it comes to fashion and shit. It was really, really interesting. I got a lot of like info, you know, a lot of lore was kind of shared, a lot of history was divulged, a lot of cool stories about certain link ups and stuff, backgrounds around Supreme, backgrounds around fucking A$AP Rocky, Ian Connor's involvement in the industry, Heron Preston, Ye, loads of stuff. So if you're into that sort of stuff, I recommend you check out the thing. But one of the really interesting parts of the live stream was this section where they kind of speak about the Balenciaga Supreme collab that never came out. Now, if you weren't paying attention, if you weren't around, you won't know. But around 2023, 2022, there was meant to be a Supreme and Balenciaga collaboration. This was during the peak of fucking Balenciaga fandom and hype. They were meant to collaborate with Supreme. It didn't end up coming out. And if you're wondering why, it's because of that controversy regarding the fucking pedo bears or the stuffed bears, right? The whole controversy with Balenciaga doing that campaign where they had kids dressed up in Balenciaga holding these teddy bears that were covered in spikes and loads of bondage stuff. Now, it's obviously a play on the punk thing, Sid Vicious thing, you know what it is, but people weren't really aware of the kind of reference, and they kind of took it at face value and they thought it was something weird. But the thing that really fucked them, probably, I think, was that campaign they did, and I think it featured, was it Tilda Swinton? Or maybe it was Nicole Kidman. It featured some very famous model anyway. But the model it featured, I think if I'm not mistaken, let's see if I can find it on here. I think it was Nicole Kidman. Let's see, it's Balenciaga campaign. Let's write papers, right? I think it's papers. They featured, yeah, there we go. I think was it Nicole Kidman? Yeah, it was Nicole Kidman. So this advert that came out, or this campaign that came out a few years ago for Supreme, for Balenciaga, kind of, you know, essentially turned Balenciaga into the enemy of the people, because people assumed Balenciaga or Kering was, you know, around doing pedo shit and kiddie diddling shit. And one of the campaign pictures had, you know, people in the office lying around, sitting around, and in the background there were papers on the table. And when people zoomed in on the papers, some of the papers were relating to like child abuse court cases and all this sort of nonsense. It was really fucking weird. That coupled up with these pictures of kids holding these stuffed bears, right, these punk bears and shit, people weren't too happy with it, so they went crazy. So that was the main reason why the Balenciaga and Supreme collaboration failed or was cancelled. But the really interesting development that I heard, this is actually my favorite piece actually from the Balenciaga, the cancelled collection, that camo look. I wanted that camo look so fucking badly. And also, of course, that fucking box logo, right, that says Balenciaga on it instead of saying Supreme. That would have done, imagine if that would have dropped. I could imagine the queues around the block, the amount that would have gone for in terms of resale. Jesus Christ. But anyway, it didn't happen. It got cancelled. And Mike the Ruler essentially divulges why it got cancelled exactly, because he still, I think, works with Balenciaga now, or when Demna was there at least. So he kind of gives some information as to why that collaboration was cancelled.
But what was I gonna say? Someone said, "Is the Supreme Balenciaga real? Was it real?"
Yeah, it's real.
Mike says it's real, confirmed.
No, that shit
but
is real.
I think they canceled that shit.
What's it called?
No, I gotta say something about that.
Mike got to talk his shit about that.
Yeah.
Once you get him started, he's locked in. This is passion, guys.
It's his passion. This is
I
art.
gotta talk my shit. James Jebbia shut down the Supreme Balenciaga collab. He used the Balenciaga controversy as an excuse, but he never wanted to do it in the first place. He was very much against that collab.
Because of the controversy.
Nah, not because of the controversy. He was like, oh, it's too fashion. It's like, bro, Supreme collabs with CDG, Yohji Yamamoto, and Margiela, and you're saying Demna is too fashion?
That shit personally hurt Mike the Ruler.
I mean,
Shit, it was like, it was like James Jebbia said, "Fuck you" directly to Mike. You know what I mean?
So interesting development, right? So James Jebbia personally cancelled that Balenciaga collaboration because he wasn't feeling in the first place. Most likely somebody else on the team recommended they do a collaboration with Balenciaga, which would have made sense back then because, you know, Balenciaga was fucking shit hot. It's still shit hot now, but 2022, 2023, Jesus Christ, that would have done fucking numbers in the streets. But James Jebbia wasn't a fan of it. And when he saw an opportunity to cancel it, when the controversy happened, he obviously pulled the plug on it and we didn't get it. Now, I thought this was interesting because what it does highlight again is how involved James Jebbia still is in Supreme. Like, he's very, very, very hands-on. Despite the amount of times they've been, I think Supreme might have been sold like twice now, maybe coming up to 3 times. It's been through different owners, and usually that comes with a different type of pressure. They sometimes try and get their own people involved. I'm assuming because he's a very astute businessman, he's probably worked in some deals to make sure he's always kind of the main figurehead. But he's also made a lot of money. That business has been sold for like billions, right? It probably generates millions, billions as well. So he could easily decide to kind of take a break, give somebody else a reins and go do his own thing. But it does go to show that probably the reason why Supreme is still, in my opinion, so relevant and definitely one of, if not the most important and best, you know, streetwear brands of all time. I think there was a time where Bape could have been that, but when Nigo left, it kind of fell, you know, it kind of fell off a cliff and it hasn't been the same since. I think the best thing maybe Bape have done since Nigo left might have been, I saw some clip the other day of these like K-pop girls dressed up in all full Bape camo looks of a recent drop. I think it was like a full Bape camo shark hoodie look. But recently, most of the Bape shit has been horrible. IT company have destroyed Bape. Stussy has kind of had a resurgence, but again, it hasn't been long enough to be consistent. I think Supreme has been 20 plus years, 25 plus years of just non-stop consistency where every collection is essentially a 6 to a 7 out of 10. Like, you know, the reason why it's that level is because James Jebbia, the founder, is still involved. He's still hands-on. I don't think you could have that level of consistency in the game without his involvement. He has to be involved. So I think that kind of speaks to where they're at as a company. And probably, in a weird way, I think that also answers the question why fucking Tremaine Emery from Denim Tears didn't work out at Supreme. I don't know why they even try to hire somebody externally to be a creative director there, but it does seem like James Jebbia is the main person there at the company still. 25 plus years later. Even when Tremaine was talking about the issues he had at Supreme, he mentioned quite often the conversation he'd have with James Jebbia. And I was always wondering, I was like, oh shit, you talked to him a lot, innit? It's weird, innit? I always thought he didn't really have that much involvement in the company. I thought he kind of oversaw things and shit, or was like a CEO where he kind of just, was at the top, but he wasn't day to day handling things. But from what that Tremaine Emory was speaking about in terms of his conflicts and issues when he had to leave, it does seem like with James Jebbia's involvement and hands-on approach, there's not a lot of room for somebody else to make decisions. Like it's hard to hire an external creative director and then expect him he or she to do their best work when the founder of the company also does every other job, right? He probably visits the stores regularly, goes to the factories regularly, checks out the fucking e-commerce stuff regularly as well. He's probably super, super hands-on in every part of the business, which is why it's so successful. But if you hired externally to take over some of those roles, you're going to find it hard to succeed because he's going to be hovering around your back. There's going to be a lot of micromanaging going on.
I mean, because it's like
damn,
before there was any Demna close, Supreme was our Demna.
Yeah. Supreme, man, shout out to James Jebbia.
Shout out James Jebbia, man. He's a fucking legend. I actually just ran into him the other day at the Cardi show. I ran into him at the Cardi show.
Wait, in New Jersey?
Yep. I ran into him at the weekend concert, but the Cardi show. And he was there with his daughter, and his daughter was really trying to link James. And I remember, I was...
Oh, yeah, I met her through Mr. Dove or something like that.
Yeah. They're like homies. And so I seen...
Oh, no, I was at a Supreme party the other night.
I seen James I seen James watching Cardi. I'm like... No, I seen him backstage, by Cardi's room. I'm like... And I met him before, so I'm like, oh, shit, what up? What are you doing here? He was like, oh, I'm just here, my daughter loves Cardi. I can't just blah, blah. And I seen him, watch Cardi perform and, just be like, this shit's tough as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I think his daughter probably is I don't know. It's not my place to say, but I feel like his daughter most definitely
gets it.
She gets it. She's
she's putting him on.
She's James' daughter is like us when we were young. You get what I'm saying? She sees shit and she's like, and her dad is the fucking GOAT.
Shout out to her. She's
cool. Shout out to her.
So that's interesting too. James Jebbia was recently at the weekend concert watching Cardi perform, which I'm assuming probably had something to do with that photo tee, which has probably been in the works for a while. So he's really involved. He's really plugged in. Although I don't think he was the one that reached out to Cardi to do that tee in the first place. Most likely other people in the company were talking about it. And I'd also imagine there's a clip of Tremaine Emory actually speaking about it. I think when he was working at Supreme, if I'm not mistaken, who was it? Who was the person? Who was the person? I forgot what he was doing, but when he was working at Supreme anyway, somebody had recommended he do a photo tee with fucking what's his face, with no, actually I think it was around the time when Supreme dropped the NBA YoungBoy tee. That's what I'm talking about. Supreme dropped the NBA YoungBoy photo tee. I think at that time Tremaine was working at Supreme and he wasn't happy that that NBA YoungBoy got the photo tee. If I'm not mistaken, I think he wasn't happy in terms of just his content. I don't think he's a big fan of NBA YoungBoy, so he wasn't too happy that he got a photo tee. So I remember him saying something along the lines of, "Oh, Cardi also called me after that, saying why can't I get one?" And I think most likely Supreme probably were put on notice or were made aware that Cardi would be into that sort of thing. And then of course, many years or a couple of years later, I'm assuming they kind of figured it out, and he's finally on the photo tee. But I think this little insight, this little tidbit, this little bit of law information has definitely given me an understanding of, and a far more, I think it's made me understand more why Tremaine was crashing out the way he was. Because it looked like on paper he had the dream job, right? Where he's running his own brand and in tears. He's got this fucking role at Supreme as a creative director. He's probably earning a few $100,000 a year. Got this cool job, the clout that comes from it, blah, 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 blah. But it's hard to do your best work when you're not really allowed to do your best work. You're not really given license to do your best work, permission to, room to do your best work, because the founder is just there, and he's a big dude. He's a fucking legend in the game. You can't exactly tell him to fuck off because it's his fucking company. So you just kind of have to grin and bear it. So I get why Tremaine had a horrible time there. I really, really do. Big up fucking Carlton Littleton in the stream chat as well. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, my guy. It says here, is it time to put Supreme on the shelf? Nah, no, never, ever, ever, ever. I'll probably review the fucking, the full Winter 25 collection probably tomorrow, but That fall 2025 collection that's just dropped is pure fire. There's so much good shit in there. There's a few misses, as there always is, but in terms of consistency across the board, I think 80% of it is solid. 80% of that collection is fucking solid. And I don't think you get that with any other brand. Year in, year out. They're always dropping 2 collections a year, not including their collaborations, not including the sneakers. Like, it's fucking crazy the level of consistency that they've done over the years. It's absolutely incredible, the level of consistency that they have. It's really, really just crazy. Especially when you think about the amount of people that plagiarize, the amount of people that don't really have many cool ideas in the first place, the amount of ideas that have been fucking run into the ground, the fact that they still have the ability to come up with fresh ideas, fresh takes, fresh interpretations of streetwear without going down the annoying menswear fashion route and just giving you what you want in terms of great hoodies, great t-shirts, great bottoms, great sneakers, great graphics. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't go wrong with them. Bags, the hats are underrated, I think, personally for me. So much good shit comes out from them year in, year out. And a lot of it, again, has to do with their lack of turnover too, I think, at the top level. I think that woman that Tremaine was complaining about, the lady called, she used to have a brand called Made Me. She's still there. There's probably a bunch of people that work at Supreme who are probably like 10 years deep in that company. So that probably helps as well. You have people that have been with you for like, you know, more than a decade. They know what the brand's about. They know the customer inside and out. There's probably a bunch of ideas that get left on the cutting room floor. There's probably a bunch of artists around the world that want to collaborate with them. They probably have to turn down people, you know? So yeah, they're always full of fresh ideas, always pushing the envelope, always challenging. Even when it comes to the Nikes, let's give them the credit for the Nikes. Look at those horrendous foam posit slides they made a few years ago. I thought they were disgustingly ugly, but those things did pretty well. And again, challenging the consumer. Instead of just doing what they could easily do and win, they just challenge them by picking silhouettes and shapes that, you know, maybe people aren't necessarily keeping an eye on or aren't that a fan of, and then kind of push those out. You kind of got to give them credit for that. So I don't think it's ever time to put them on the shelf because, and again, to be honest as well, you only put stuff on the shelf when there's a worthy adversary or there's a worthy successor, you know, to kind of take over for your plot. I don't think there's a single brand out there that can take over their spot right now. Even Stussy that I like, I don't think they can operate on the level that Supreme is. At that level, I don't think they have it. So yeah, they're gonna be around for a long time. They're not gonna be on no shelf anytime soon, in my humble opinion. Big up Carlton Littleton. Big up Carlton Littleton. Big up Carlton Littleton. I appreciate the super chat. So gonna end off the show here. Thank you for tuning in. Check something show number 933. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Smash the like button if you're watching the live stream. Hit subscribe as well if you're watching the live stream. If you're listening via the podcast app, of course, leave me a 5-star review and let people know about the show. Spread it wide and far. Links to myself and everything else can be found in the description, courtesy of my link tree. Links to myself and everything else I get up to can be found in the link in the description, courtesy of my link tree. Link in the description. I think it's linktree.com/Agostino. You can find every link about myself down there. For those of you listening via the podcast app, my tune of the day will be courtesy of Mariah the Scientist. Mariah the Scientist dropped an album, I think a few days ago, called Heart Soul Separately. And it might be, in my opinion, one of the best R&B albums to drop this year. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say album of the year yet, but in terms of pure R&B, sultry, you know, whimsical, sweet vibes, I think it's definitely up there. And I've not really been the biggest fan of Mariah the Scientist, so I recommend you check it out. The tune that I'm going to be playing as an outro, for those of you listening to the podcast app only, will be the song, track number 6, called All I Want plus In Pursuit. If I'm not mistaken, I think All I Want features a sample from Tevin Campbell. Can we talk? Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I know. No, I'm sure it features a sample or melody hook, whatever that term is. I'm sure I recognize in the background. But track number 6, All I Want plus In Pursuit, that's my tune of the day. I recommend you check out the album itself, Mariah the Scientist, Heart Soul Separately. Great R&B album, only 10 tracks long, not got 79 tracks like fucking Chris Brown, big up him. So really concise listen, easy to fucking digest, probably less than 20-minute listening time. A fucking banging R&B album by Mariah the Scientist is my tune of the day. Heart Soul Separately, album of the week, I guess, in that respect. Check it out. The track is track number 6, All I Want In Pursuit. That's my song of the day. Everyone else tuning in, appreciate you. Take care. See you again very, very soon. Peace.